Hello and welcome to Queers and Soaps. I'm Eric, joined once again with that
Karen.
one.
Yeah.
Bringing you some more General Hospital this week. First week of 1982 from January 1st to the 8th. Tommy will roll the credits and we'll chat. All right. This is an interesting week. Um, I feel like it's starting a lot of different storylines.
Yeah. Yeah. It feels like we've ended a few from last year and now we're
Yeah.
starting brand new storylines to take us into the new year. And one of them is Anne Logan's villain arc. It's so great.
Yeah.
I love this so much.
And we have some liquor thievery
Yep. Shenanigans are
things going
happening.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Mr. Angelino's still there, and so is Rudy. Both still kicking.
Okay, for everyone who's out there not chronically watching television, that would be Mr. Angelino. Is that Dr. Katz, right?
That's yes, Dr. Katz from Three's Company.
And Rudy
Mr.
is
Angelino. Everybody
doc-
knows Mr. Angelino.
Dr. Bradshaw, who features heavily this week.
Dr. Bradshaw is yeah, it's funny because well, I guess he might hang around for another few months because of I'm guessing they didn't want this storyline for Steve, or maybe Steve needed time off, so they kind of replaced them with Bradshaw for a little bit. I don't know what was going on in his personal life, but
Well, I'm assuming.
seems
Well,
like he replaced them.
maybe he just wanted a vacation. Sometimes people went on
Yeah,
vacation for like 2 months. I don't remember hearing anything about Bernardino having any issues. So
yeah, who knows?
maybe Steve was really off at a medical conference and John is at home watching baseball for once. He always wants to watch sports and they never let
There's
him.
no baseball in January.
How the hell would I know?
That's football season and some
Oh, I
basketball.
don't care. Enjoy your
So
sports, guys.
January 1st, Joe and Heather are at Kelly's like after New Year's. Everything's after the New Year's
I feel like
party.
this is like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, the way everyone's acting.
Yeah, everybody's kind of like recovering,
They're
still
hungover.
drunk, hungover-ish. Noah and Anne are there. They have their masks on still, so they're just wrapping up. Leslie and Amy get home. Leslie and Rick are being all cute still because they're all in the lovey-dovey mood.
Hmm. Rick made
Since
a
they just got
beautiful
married.
breakfast for
Yeah.
everyone.
Um, Leslie kind of ain't having it though. She's just like, I just want to sleep. I'm tired. I mean, they go to work, they go to these parties, and then she's just done. I get it. I'm the same way.
Hmm.
Um, Laura tells Tiffany about seeing the dude with the ring, the creep who's still around. Um, I want this story to move. I feel like it's not. This creep is just creeping, and it's annoying.
Well, the pacing in the older show is both faster and slower than in the current show, which is weird. But like some
Yeah.
storylines go very paced out, and then other storylines happen almost in an eye blink. So like I almost love it because there's kind of more of a balance of what's happening. You're not always having a slow episode. Um, but it seems like they planned a heist and executed a heist in like 5 minutes while this guy is
Right. Like,
still
yeah.
very slowly creeping into the frame.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Hmm.
I guess, I mean, I know it's Laura's exit, but it's taking a long time. I guess they had to stretch it to
I
her.
don't know. Well, I guess they wanted to take it slowly while other things were going
Well,
on.
they back then they really concentrated on contracts, which is why Bobby hung around basically till the end of the year, even if, she talked about leaving in early
Mhm.
December, like that stuff. So they always hung around. So I'm assuming Jeannie Francis signed like a contract in January, and her contract is up at the end of January. So
Yeah, because
that's why
she's now on the
they had to
periphery
move.
of other people's storylines instead of really
Yeah.
in the center. And her and Luke, I'm starting to think they have the worst communication style of any couple I've ever seen because it seems like he just does his own thing, she does her own thing, and then when they meet up, they try to like tell each other, but they don't.
Hmm.
That was like one of the big things this week was Laura was having an interview, never told Luke, and then was mad when Luke and all his weirdos kept showing up at their stateroom, which is what happens every day on the Haunted Star. It's like not a surprise that Robert's there,
Yeah.
he's there, that
Laura, Laura, Laura still ain't having that boat. But anyway, speaking of Robert, Robert was asleep at the table.
yes,
Um, and we find out that they had I don't know if they did they show Tony oh my God, I was gonna say Tony Geary. Luke rip off the mouse masks to see
yes.
if it was unveiled.
Mhm.
Okay.
They
I didn't
scared the
remember seeing
girls.
it. Okay. Hence looking for that mouse man, whatever he
That's why
is,
Amy
like
was
the
talking about it.
mobster man.
Yeah, Amy was talking about how they got the costumes and stuff. So like they kind of reiterated what
Yeah.
happened on New Year's Eve, New Year's Day.
Amy talks about the costumes, how they showed up, and she basically romanticized it, said it was like, oh, she was thinking it was this nice hunky man, like get it all, like just had this whole thing in her head, like because she's crazy.
And they were the most sexist ever to her. It was a horrific conversation. Poor Amy. That was terrible. They were just
Well,
like, Amy,
sign
basically
of
your
the
problem
times.
is you talk and you should shut your mouth and not talk
Yeah,
ever.
shut your face.
And they both said it and it
Um,
was disgusting. I'm sorry. It was very upsetting.
I don't think they meant it like that. I mean, they just,
Really? Because the next thing they said was that Laura was Luke's problem now. She has a husband now, so he can take care of her. And they say that multiple times over the week, as if she's a prize pig that they sold to another man. That's how they talk about her for the week.
but and it doesn't really like it doesn't like stop Amy either. So it's not like she
I
takes
know,
it
but
to heart or
it
anything.
was such a mean thing to say, and they've said it multiple times. I know that's a thing with
It's a sign
Shell.
of the times.
Yeah, the sign of the times is that women should shut up and that gossip is bad. But we know in the future that
Sit
gossip
up
is
and
good.
get in the kitchen.
That's how people find out that the person who doesn't do any work at work actually gets paid $10,000 more than them a year.
Yeah. So Anne is on. She's talking about the mice costumes as well. Luke pulled their masks off, blah blah blah. Everybody's talking about their shit. And asks for um a New Year's Eve kiss from Joe
Hmm.
in front of Heather, which was kind of funny
And
because
Noah,
she's
who she seems to be flirting with.
yeah, she's flirting with Noah throughout these episodes as well. So yeah, Anne, I don't even know what to think of Anne now. Like, so I know she kind of turned a little bit,
She's going off the rails.
um, because she's tired of being the good girl and all that, blah blah blah.
But she's been tired of being the good girl for months, and she started on this heavy drinking path. She's also
Yeah.
afraid of Heather, and Heather is nice enough to actually propose that they become friends. And Joe,
What does
I
Heather
mean, how
need?
Heather is it? Yeah, how nice is it coming from
What does
Heather?
Heather
But then
need?
to pay her back for trying to make peace, Anne decides to French kiss her boyfriend in front of her.
Um, so yeah, so Rick does tell Amy to shut her mouth and maybe she will meet a man. Amy
I
defends her
couldn't handle
virginity
that. I couldn't handle that. That was such a freaking ignorant thing to say.
as they're all talking about like resolutions for the year and all that stuff,
Mhm.
and hence why that got brought up. Um, I have shake hands and be friends with Ann and Heather.
Yeah.
Joe has suggested. Laura tells the gang that she feels safer in New York than she does at the Haunted Star. She feels
Hmm.
safer anywhere than that place. She just don't like it.
It's got bad vibes.
Mikey questions Leslie because she has a headache and she's hungover and she doesn't, she can't really explain it to the child. She's just like, oh, whatever. Go
Well,
wake
she does
Amy.
start
She'll make you
explaining.
breakfast.
Yeah, she does start explaining to him that people, when adults, like she was giving a very kid friendly explanation of New Year's Eve to Mikey. And it
Right.
was funny because they told her to shut her mouth and not gossip. And then Mikey sat there like an old lady and started digging for information. He's like, but
Yeah.
why? What happened with these people? What happened with these people? So then, of course,
He's
she
too
starts,
cute, this kid.
he's the cutest kid I've ever seen. And he
He
just gets
really
her
is.
gossiping again. And then they're mad because, but he asked,
I like the part when she's like, I can't open my eyes. She still had her lashes on. And she's like pulling them off.
I also like that Leslie complained about being in Gold Lame because it was too cold. She's like, I'm freezing.
Oh, Leslie.
I love her. She's so funny.
Anne fills Audrey in on the festivities. Delphina's still on. She says like an ice pack and a hangover cure she's working on. Everybody's fucked up.
Yeah, they wanted two
Robert
raw eggs.
plans Robert plans to steal the liquor from the mob. He wants Tiffany and Delphina to dress as hookers to help
Oh no,
him, and
Emma.
Emma, I think, too.
Emma.
Emma, yeah. Well, Delphina's supposed to help with the costumes, I believe,
Yes.
as she does. Um, the mouse man is at Rose's, and he asks about Luke,
He
and that's
threatens.
all I got for that
He
one.
says, I hope the next, because she says she's closed, which she was not closed. She was going to be open. Excuse me. She
Yeah,
told the dock workers to come back in an hour
and
and
she
she'd be
turned
open.
the sign when he was there.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, that's a very good message. But he looks at her and he goes, I'm going to come back. And the next time I come here, you better hope your friend Luke isn't here. So he's threatening Luke.
Yeah,
This is a weird storyline. Couldn't you just go to
it
New
is weird.
Jersey and buy alcohol like everybody else does? Like, how far are you from New Jersey?
Yeah,
Can you
I
leave
get it.
town and pick up some cases? Can you order it from the next county over and have it driven in? Like, what?
Well, Mouse is the one that takes care of the waterfront liquor, so that's
So
whatever
leave the
that weird
waterfront,
shit is.
pick up some liquor, drive it back into the waterfront like you do from Pennsylvania
Basically,
to New Jersey.
basically the coffee business, which
Yeah,
eventually
yeah, it is really like eventually what Sonny will do, except it's coffee because we need
yeah.
Sonny to seem less dangerous than he is. Hangs people on a meat hook. It's
So
not a nice thing.
Jeremy and Rick are at the hospital. Susan and Alan are on. She kicks him out. She's tired of his shit.
She had a right to.
Um, Ti- oh, for sure. Tiffany, Robert, Luke, and Laura. Robert says he's moving in. I feel like he lived there already, but
No, he lived at his penthouse. Remember, he had a penthouse and he offered it to Luke and Laura once they got married. But Luke
oh,
decided
that's true.
unilaterally that they were going to live on this boat that Laura hates because her opinion doesn't really matter in any scenario.
I never know where some people live because they're always on the boat.
They,
So I'm
I
like,
don't
I
think
just
they have the
assume
penthouse set anymore because they haven't used it in a month. So they may have
probably
broken it
not.
down. I think they've broken it down because Jackie's introduced this week, which means they're probably going to move it to Tiffany's apartment. So they probably didn't need that set anymore.
Speaking of, Laura has an interview at home, and it is Jackie.
I wrote my notes,
Demi Moore.
Jackie, really big.
Demi Moore's first appearance is January
Yay.
4th,
Her hair is
1982, for
really
anyone that wants to
dark.
see. Delphina and Emma come to make Ho costumes.
Hmm.
Susan tells Alan he destroyed what they had, broken promises and whatnot. Scotty and Rick talk about the building dude, George, right? George
Dernley.
something.
Dernley.
Sternly. Um, Alan tells Edward he got the boot from Susan, and Edward laughs at him.
Yeah, it was very funny. I agree with Edward. Although Edward's
Yeah,
a monster. He's like, oh, you want to keep her? Lie to her.
well, that's not a monster in Edward land. It's what you do.
Yeah.
It's what you,
Well, first Edward was like, move back home with your wife, deal with your actual life, grow up. And I think he yelled
right.
wake up at him at one point. And then
Yeah,
Alan's
he
like,
did.
no, I'm still in love with Susan and I want to be with Susan. And he's like, well, then lie to her. Who cares? And Alan's like, that's terrible. He's like, I don't like your company
Right.
anymore. I'm leaving.
So Jackie wants Laura to be on the cover and all this stuff with the Miss Star Eyes crap.
Hmm.
Um, I have Emma lost her pickle. I was like, what was she talking about?
So one by one, people keep coming into the room to interrupt the interview because it's a farce. General Hospital likes to do these little farce moments. And she comes in and she's literally looking for a pickle. Apparently she had a pickle, and you know how you used to get the pickle out of the big barrel? I think you can still do that in places.
Yeah, yeah,
And you
yeah.
have
You
it
can
like
at
in
the
the
outlet.
little, yeah, in the little paper envelope. And
Yeah.
she apparently had one, and Laura picked her up and led her to the pickle. So she knew where the pickle was in the room, and I'm like, how? Or
I
could
missed
you
that
smell
somehow.
pickle?
I was
Like,
probably writing. Um, so Laura gets rid of her. Tiffany comes in,
trying to
and
usurp the interview.
they talk about the island adventure. Jackie brings it up. She's like, "Oh, superheroes and all that."
That was
That
sad
cracks
because
me up.
he was a big part of that storyline. And for the joke, They always downplay it as if Tiffany wasn't there. Like even Jackie was like, "Who are you? I don't know anything about you." So it was like Luke, Laura, and Robert got all the glory and fame, and Tiffany got nothing out of that entire
Yeah,
adventure. And
she
she was
really
like
didn't.
a big part of it.
She
But
was a
it's for
huge
the
part of
joke.
it.
It's for the lulz. But
Without her, they wouldn't have
no, they wouldn't
gotten
have done
away with
anything.
it. They wouldn't have been able. Yeah, exactly.
It was her relationship
She
with
was the
Victor that
one,
made it work.
and she was risking her life by trying to go up and constantly and stuff.
I get it though, because they do a lot of these things for to lay it down as a joke. Because the big joke is that
Yeah.
Tiffany acts like a famous actress, but she's kind of washed up, and that's kind of mean. And I kind of wish they would let it go, but they don't.
Oh, yeah. So Gail, Lee, and Scotty talk. He says he signed the divorce papers, and Lee wants to see
Oh,
because
it's
he
not
doesn't
the
believe
divorce
him.
papers. It's a
What
decree
was
that
it? Yeah,
it's a
I
decree
was
that
confused.
he will not interfere in their divorce. So you remember how they said
Oh,
at
right.
any point he could contest? Well, he wrote up a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
paper saying he wasn't going to contest. And Lee, of course,
Okay.
insisted on saying it because Scotty's full of beans. He's always lying. So,
Yeah, I missed what it was when he said it. I was like, I
yeah,
knew that's
so that's
wrong, but
when
I said it
Lee
anyway.
Gail was super excited because Gail always takes everybody at their word. And
Right.
Lee's like, nah, my son lies. And he took the paper and he read the paper and he was like, Scotty, this is like a napkin. This doesn't do anything. He's like, this isn't legally binding or anything. This is just you saying, I promise not to be bad. And he's like, that's nonsense. And Scotty's like, well, what am I supposed to do? He's like, I wanted to make a gesture and this is my gesture. And then Lee gets all emotional about it. And they have kind of a nice father son moment, which Scotty
And
ruins like
Scotty's,
5 minutes later.
yeah. Robert and Luke direct the girls to steal the liquor. Jackie is interested in Laura's friends, it seems. Rick comes and Scotty as well
Mm-hmm.
for hanging around. Monica questions Alan about his suitcase in the car.
She misses nothing.
And when he's getting ready to leave, he's like, and she's like, give your best to Susan.
I mean, it was funny because
Right.
Susan mentioned that earlier in the story. She was just like, "I'm sick of your family, and I'm sick of your wife's
Your wife.
biting, sarcastic comments." And then she runs into Alan and makes all these biting, sarcastic comments, and I'm like, "Monica's
Yeah.
my hero. I aspire to be Monica. She's so mean."
Alan does end up going home to Susan, kisses her butt basically. He says he'll get the divorce, calls the lawyer,
I
and
didn't think
Laura
he
heads
really
back
called the
to New
lawyer.
York.
Did you think he really called the lawyer?
I don't think he did. I don't know why he wouldn't. I mean, what's it gonna get him another day or two until she was,
I
gets
don't
on
know.
her
I
knees
wasn't
about it?
sure if he was going to
I'm
go
not sure if
along.
he did either.
He says he did, but like I don't know if he did it to do exactly what Edward told him to do or if he actually called the lawyer. So
Well, knowing what we know in 82, because I think he still strings her along, if I remember correctly. So I believe he probably is doing what Edward said.
this Susan is so much stronger and more interesting than how she ends up. I think she's funny.
Yeah.
I think she's spunky. I love how she tossed his ass out. I thought that was perfect because
She's
he
not
is
a
the
drunk yet.
no, she's not a drunk yet. I guess that basically ruins her.
Yeah.
But she was really tough in this episode. She like laid down the law and she kicked him out and was
Yeah,
like,
do your shit. Do what
she's
you're
like,
saying
don't.
you're gonna
Well,
do.
because he put her in a position where she's a social pariah. Her
Yep.
and her baby are social pariahs. She can't go to any parties. She can't do anything. She can't hold a job. She's got the disco, but she can't really do much with it because, again, she's a social pariah. And then she can't integrate with his family because his wife is there. So she's basically out here in limbo. And if she didn't have
Right.
the baby, she could have just dumped him and got another man or whatever she wanted to do. But he's keeping her in a holding pattern. And he
Yeah.
doesn't care
She's
because
tired
he's
of it.
getting what he wants from her, which is love, I guess.
So Jeremy's on.
He's
I
on a
forget what
lot.
he was doing in this one. He is in a lot. Audrey gets rid of Jeremy to talk to Anne because Anne's acting out. Luke and crew review their plan with the liquor still.
Mhm.
Emma hits her mark, but some goon comes along and screws it up.
Yeah,
Jeff calls.
for
Jeff
ten
calls for
dollars.
Rick.
He offers her
Yeah.
$10.
Audrey tell. Oh wait. Oh yeah. This is. I forgot the Jeff stuff is in this part too. Audrey tells Anne that Jeff got married.
And this sends Anne
Um,
off the deep end because she was in
hmm
love with Jeff, and Jeff left her because she wouldn't give it up.
I'm tired of being little Annie Logan, and she's pissed.
Yeah.
Noah comes by. Tiffany and Emma cause a commotion to distract the dudes.
They
Lee and
pretend that
Scotty.
Tiffany has the DDTs, but Emma doesn't even know what the DDTs are, so I think she calls them the DTTs. And she's like, my friend's
Yeah,
passing out. It was very dramatic. It was hilarious. It was so dumb. I loved every minute of it.
it was. It was silly.
Really worth watching.
Um,
Tiffany is great. Her and I should really learn the actress that plays Emma's name because she is hilarious. She's a very funny, silly, almost like a vaudeville character most of the time. And
yeah,
her invisible
I know.
husband is great.
We gotta look her up. Lee and Scotty talk to Rudy Wells. Mr. Angelino talks to Scotty.
Oh,
Yeah,
Mr.
they're all
Angelino, Dr. Katz, he approaches Scotty because the only information he has on Scotty comes from Heather. And so
yeah,
he was interested to meet him. This is at the medical conference, right? Everybody's at
I
the thing to
believe so.
welcome Dr. It's something to honor Dr. Bradshaw.
Yeah,
And some people can come and some people can't because apparently there were two medical conferences on the same night and Steve and Monica had to go to the other one. So
yeah. That's
some of
why
the
they're not
couples
on.
are separated, and I think Rick was he was paged on the way there, so he had to go call the hospital. So like you're seeing certain people, and Dr. Katz is there, and the Quartermains are there, and Dr. Katz is just like, oh, you're really interesting compared to like what he knows about him. And it was
Yeah,
like weird. It was like a weird evaluation moment of
it
Scotty.
was weird.
And he, well, he was shrinking him, but he was shrinking him against his will. Because
Yeah,
he's like, wow, such rapid change. From what I've been told, nobody changes that fast, which is just a reference to how Scotty's putting on this new man persona that everybody is
yeah. I feel
either
like he
buying
didn't
into
have
or not. He
a real
didn't.
right to do that, but
Mm-mm.
yeah, he did.
I don't think he did at
Um,
all.
Luke and or wait, Luke didn't. Did Luke was he involved in the liquor? He was, right? He was involved in getting the liquor and then he disappeared after, right? To go to New York
Okay, so
or New
the
York.
plan was that Laura would go to New York and tell everybody that her husband was getting the bags so that he would have an alibi. And
Alibi.
Luke went on the heist. The boys, this is the thing. The boys sent the girls into danger and then hung back until the
I was
girls got them
surprised
in.
by that. I was surprised by that because I feel like they always kind of push the girls aside so they could
Mhm.
do their thing, but they actually involved them,
Yeah. But I
which I
think,
actually liked,
yeah. But
even
Robert,
though
I
they were in
guess
danger. But
Robert
they knew they were in danger.
I think Robert and Luke are used to working with girls as their team partners because Luke has worked with Laura since they got together, and Robert had Riley, and then he had Tiffany. So they're almost always used to working with girls. So like it doesn't
Right.
surprise me that they included the girls who are in their gang for this thing. It does surprise me how much danger they put those girls in because like the women were sent in as hookers. That's a dangerous thing to do with the men
Yeah.
of the 80s. and,
Because that other man was trying to hit on Emma,
and he was not taking no for an answer. And then when
of
Emma
course,
came
as they
back,
never
that
do.
guy was like, basically, I don't want sloppy seconds. Like that was a
Right.
disgusting thing to say. He's like, you're a dirty hooker. What was she supposed to be, bro? She's a hooker. Did you think you were her first customer of the night? Like,
I know,
bro,
right?
these men.
These men. So the crew end up taking the liquor. Anne asks Noah for a what? A something and on party.
What?
I think I was falling asleep when
What happened?
during this one.
Wait, tell me again what's going on.
Anne asked Noah for a ride to the party, but
Oh,
she, I
okay.
guess, this
So
is when she busted
Doctor
the party, right?
Dr. Bradshaw and Anne were there attending when they did a surgery on a patient.
But they
Dr.
didn't
Brad,
show this stuff, right?
no, no.
Okay, they
Dr.
just mentioned
Bradshaw
something
was
else.
late to his own event because he was saving somebody's life. So what Dr. Bradshaw doesn't know is that after the surgery, the patient died. Anne
Yeah.
knows that. Now, Anne reviewed the medical file. Anne believes that Dr. Bradshaw should not have sent the patient into surgery because she was too weak to survive it. So in Anne's mind, Dr. Bradshaw killed that woman. So
Right.
she's angry and she hates Dr. Bradshaw because he picks on her. Remember when she dropped the medication and he was
Right.
a
Right.
complete jerk to her, and then he continued to be
Yeah.
a complete jerk to her? So Anne has beef with Dr. Bradshaw. She wants
I think
Noah.
Anne did overstep because you really shouldn't be telling a doctor what to do and what not to do. That was the doctor's decision.
Right.
It was not hers.
So she
So she
didn't
was
say
in the
anything.
wrong here.
She didn't say anything in the surgery. Well, she was absolutely wrong because she said that instead of pulling him aside and talking to him
Yeah.
or talking to
Right.
his supervisor, she screamed to a crowd what happened. But
Yeah.
she tricked Noah into taking her to that party where she looked like an extra from the miniseries, and she's literally. I'm like, I wrote villain arc. I'm like villain arc right across my, because Anne is going off the rails. She convinces
It
Noah to
did
take
make
her
her
to the
more
party.
interesting. I actually
Yeah,
like
yeah,
watching
she's
her now. She did kind
super,
of bore me before.
super interesting. Well, she wasn't. Poor little virgin girl who adopts single boy. Like, I mean, it's interesting for 5 minutes, but it's not a sustainable storyline because that whole
Right.
angle is weird for a modern viewer. So then they go over to the party, and she announces in front of everyone that Dr. Bradshaw's a murderer and he murdered that girl and he shouldn't be honored, which, by the way, is defamation. He could sue
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
Um, and he takes it to Audrey and he's like, "What are you going to do about it?" And
Well,
Audrey's like, "Well, we were going to write her up, Jesse," because Jesse was pissed. Jesse was at the
yeah.
party.
Well, that's in the next one. Let's get through this
Okay.
one. We'll continue on. Blah, blah.
I'm trying to find out Emma's name, but the
I
problem
have,
with General Hospital is that General Hospital names their characters the same names over and over again. So
yeah,
because
a
there's
lot of
Emma,
them do. I want to say all soaps honestly do. I've
it's just
seen that
really
trend too.
irritating because I look up Emma
It
and I
is.
get Emma Drake, and I don't want Emma
I know.
Drake. I want Emma and Charlie.
But it's true. They all do it too. It's funny.
It's not a
Um,
good way to do this, but I understand
so
why.
yeah, they're honoring Rudy at the gala and interrupts. We did discuss it. We might actually almost be. Oh, we are on the next one. So Mouse busts Robert and asks where Luke is. Heather is loving working at the hospital and dyed her hair
Pink, pink.
that night. Is it pink? I thought it was like a reddish,
They said pink. It does kind of look like when you and I did magenta streaks in
like an
our hair.
auburn. Yeah.
It looks like that in the
Um,
90s.
Rudy wants to talk to Steve about Anne, but he does talk to Audrey. He wants action taken against her for slandering him in front of everybody, blah blah blah.
I would
Audrey
too.
tries to
That
defend
was
her.
absolutely horrific.
Audrey tries to defend her, but he ain't having it. Um, Robert says to Mouse that Luke wasn't around last night and he was bowling. So they all have alibis.
He also tells him that he's one of the former presidents. I think he said Rutherford B. Hayes this time. And
You
like
can
he's
talk
always
about
messing around.
when Lila and Stella come in.
So
That
this
was
is
cute.
okay, so Lila is incredible. Her and Stella
Lila's
come
still
in.
walking.
Yeah, she's still walking at this point. It's 82.
Hmm.
She comes
Okay.
in with Stella. They're both wrapped up for the weather. Stella actually has the wrap around her, so you can only see like this part of Stella's
Yeah,
face.
I didn't know it was her at first until
Me
they
either.
took
Me
it
either.
down, and I was like, oh, it's Stella. Okay.
So the two of them come in. Lila wants an update on the research she has Robert doing, and Robert is he moves very quickly. He's very apologetic to her. He tells her that him and the mouse are playing a game and that the mouse has a water pistol.
Water
And
pistol.
of course the mouse just like doesn't know what to do, so he just kind of like plays along. And Lila is so cute. She's just like, "Oh, your name is Morris? Edward and I met a Morris on a cruise, and that was great fun." And she's just laughing. And this guy is like, "Who are these broads?" And Edward and Robert very carefully maneuvers the two women out of the room, telling him that he'll get back to them on the events. And they leave. And the mouse goes, "Are those the two hookers you used for the earlier like
Yeah.
debacle?" And he's like, "Yes." "No, what are you talking about?" And then the other guys come in, they're like, two dames just left, two old dames just left. Do you want us to shake them down?" And Robert goes, "Yes, please shake them down. They would love that." Because
So
Lila loves everything. She thinks everything is a fun time.
Well, Lila heard that they called her hooker or lady of the night. I think
She
Stella had
did,
said
and she
because
said, "I've never been
Lila
so
is flattered.
complimented." Yeah, and she's like, "In
She's
40
like, I'm
years,
so
I've never been
flattered.
so complimented." And I was like,
Yeah, it was
"Lila,
cute.
Lila is a trip. She would have made a great like if she were a little younger, she would have made a great member of their gang. And I think she's an
Yeah, yeah.
honorary member of their gang because she is involved in some of their kerfuffles sometimes. She's
It's fun because on days they include Alice in a lot of the shenanigans
they
where
should.
and she's always hiding stuff from Tom and it's really fun. But yeah,
I
they
love when
should do
it's
that with
the
Lila too.
generational stuff. I think the storyline should always involve the kids, the parents, the grandparents, if there's great
Right.
grandparents. Like, I think the storylines are always way more fun when they're generational. By the way, Emma Lutz, her name is Mary Lynn Ross.
No? Anything was she in any other things
I can look it up, but
that you've seen?
yeah, I have her Wikipedia. The problem is when you look this up and you get a General Hospital character name first, you go to the General Hospital wiki, and then it just tells you about what she did on General Hospital.
It's only the
But
General
let me
Hospital.
look her up, and I'll get back to you. I'm doing it
Well,
very
I'll
slowly.
continue on while you look it up.
Go ahead.
So Rudy and Ann talk, and he says she's a disgrace to her profession and blah blah blah. Um, Jesse and Audrey are on. They go off on Ann. She says that the doctor rushed the patient into surgery without reading her history. Jesse gets real with her basically. She's like, listen, you're giving us all a bad name. We all work so hard. Like she has a really nice, she comes across really nice, stern, and Anne just kind of cries and runs off.
Well, the thing is,
Okay.
remember the sexism. Like, remember the sexism of the time. Now, if not all nurses at the time would have been women. And this is like
Well,
a very good,
it's true.
well-respected position, but it's still
Yes.
subordinate to the surgeons, which are
Right.
rarely women. You have like Monica, but most of the doctors were in
Yeah.
the soft sciences like
And
psychiatry
Leslie.
or pediatrics, and Leslie. So General Hospital
Right.
has a good spread of male to female doctors, but like they are in a subordinate position to the doctors, but they are in a
Yeah.
well-respected position, and it's a high-paying job that women can get. And for her to come out and be like dramatic, emotional, upset, and accusing him of something he didn't do is a really bad look.
Right.
Sorry,
Um,
I'm looking here.
some dude comes in and holds a gun on Mouse and crew and basically helps Robert.
Right.
Um, I have other. He says he got their booze on another boat or something. The other guy that came in says they got
The other guy says that they found a rowboat and it was a leaky rowboat with, remember, they had to leave the champagne behind because
that
they
was the
couldn't fit it in the
setup.
car. That was the
Right,
setup.
that was the
That was the
setup.
setup.
Yeah. Um,
It looks like Mary Lynn Ross was in a lot of really fun movies because one's called Girls in Chains
oh,
from 1973. There's one called Love at First Bite, which sounds like a fun vampire movie.
Love
She
at
was
First
in,
Bite.
yeah,
I
Love at
feel
First
like
Bite,
that. What was it? Was that in the 80s?
1979.
Oh, I'm
She
thinking
was
of it.
also in a movie called Class of 1984, which looks like a horror film. Bobby Joe and the
Interesting.
Outlaw, The Lucifer Complex, The White House Madness, The Happy Goat. What is it? The Happy Hooker Goes
Oh,
Hollywood? That sounds like a porn.
so she's had hooking experience in the past.
Jeez, that's terrible. Oh, it's a comedy sex. It's a sex comedy. So it's not a,
Oh,
it's a
it sounds
romp.
like most of them are. So comedy.
I know. I feel like maybe we should have a Mary Lynn Ross marathon because that sounds super fun.
All those movies are probably on Tubi.
Yay.
Um, Anywho, Heather and Mr. Angelina talk about her job not helping patients because she helped the patient earlier, and they talk about her and Joe. Noah and Ann talk. She swears that Rudy was wrong, and he says he wouldn't have operated either, and he said he reviewed the file, and he kind of is trying to get stern with her too, like you're fucking up, lady. Get your shit
I
together.
know, and I agree with Noah, but the way that Noah talks to her as if she is a very dumb child, and I don't particularly like the way everybody infantilizes. Like she did something really horrific, and they're all very like, now you did a bad thing and you need to apologize. Instead, he should be like, you're trashing your career, you psycho. Like, just who cares
That's what
about
Jesse
Dr.
did.
Bradshaw? Yeah, that's a
That's what
Jesse.
Jesse did.
Well, because Jesse, it was woman to woman. So Jesse was
Right.
like, you're ruining your career, you're ruining our careers, and you need to grow up.
Yeah.
Like, that's
Yeah. Because if they don't respect Anne, they're not going to respect the other nurses that they have to
right.
deal with.
As we know, they do a strike later on in the show, and it's hilarious.
But
Where they
yeah,
all
he
lay in
tells her
bed.
she was out of line. We find out that guy that helped Robert is Kurt Maxwell.
Hmm.
Um, and he was a friend of O'Reilly who had previously worked with
Robert, yeah.
what's his
And
name?
died.
Yeah, yeah.
So he does this favor for Maxwell based on the friendship they both had with Riley. He wants to
He had a
hide out.
friend. Yeah, I don't know why I have mutual heart.
They were both in love with
Oh, they
Riley.
were both in love with her?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a pretty accurate note, bud. You
I know.
gotta
Noah
stop watching
goes
these things at
to
6 o'clock in the morning. You're never gonna remember anything.
no, this one I actually didn't. I actually watched like at a decent time. But it's if I don't do the thing right away, I'll forget what I meant at the time.
I know. I have the jump on you
Um,
because I watched like all of this yesterday.
right. So Noah goes to Rudy and defends Anne, says she wants to apologize to him. He wants it posted on the board and to stay away from him, never come anywhere near him, blah blah blah. But he does kind of agree with Noah, like he helps him out because he Noah grew up with him and all that stuff.
Yeah, but a lot of people
So
had to talk on Anne's behalf to get Anne out of this pot of hot water. Like
yeah,
Audrey had to, probably Jesse and Noah. Everybody's trailing on relationships
they're
they have with
risking
Dr.
themselves.
Bradshaw. They're risking their
Yeah,
reputation for her. And I don't know if it's a smart plan right now because she seems to have just lost it since the whole Jeff thing happened. She has never recovered from that. And she's
I'm
getting more and
surprised he
more
gave it up.
wild. Yeah. I'm surprised too
But
because that was a real
I
ding to his reputation. And you know how surgeons feel about their reputation.
I feel like she's gonna have another run-in with him though.
Me too. I feel like he's her definite opposition in this show because
Yeah,
he's I guess he represents what she's really angry about. She's angry about powerful men controlling her life. And that's another scenario. One thing does the thing with Jeremy happen? Is this the last episode? I'm not sure where you are.
that's the last episode. I'm on
Okay.
January 7th.
Oh, that's January 7th. I thought we did to the 8th, right?
So yeah. So this
Okay.
no, this is January 7th now that I'm about to start.
Okay.
So Scotty finds out about the liquor heist, which I knew where this was going.
Hmm.
Um, someone is on the boat while Robert and Kurt are talking. It's Tiffany banging on the door like a lunatic. I'm like, girl, what's your problem?
I don't know. Tiffany is so all over the place.
She is. Tiffany wants to know about the mouse. He kisses her to distract her and wants to go to Kelly's. I don't know why he doesn't just tell. Why doesn't he tell them about Kurt? Like, why doesn't he just say,
Kurt
"Listen, this
said
guy
he
has
didn't want to
IM."
know. He didn't want anyone to know because remember, he said he was going to tell Luke because he tells Luke everything. And Kurt was like, well, if you're going to tell Luke everything, I'm going to dip because I don't want anyone to know where I am. So because of Riley or whatever, Riley,
Right, right, right.
he wants to do this favor for her. Like, I guess one last thing to do for.
Oh, so he was supposed to leave, but he stayed. Is that correct?
No, he was going to stay on the boat and hide until for a couple days.
Oh,
And
okay.
Robert wasn't going to tell anyone that like he was hiding there. So then of course immediately after that Tiffany shows up and for whatever insane reason Tiffany does not want to leave the boat. Where Laura hates the boat,
I
Tiffany
know.
loves the boat. And
I
Robert's like,
know.
"Let's go get something to eat and then we'll go back to your place and bang." And she's like, "Cool." Except she's like,
Yeah,
"Why can't we just stay on the boat? Why can't we stay on the boat?" And like we then spend like the whole episode of her trying to get back to the boat. Why? It's a
I
dirty,
know.
smelly,
It's just
unclean
stupid.
boat. And she has a
I
nice
just, I just
apartment.
wish for once he would just like tell her anyway. Like, yeah, he said he wouldn't, but just tell her because you know how she's going to be, and she does act.
She does.
whatever.
She acts exactly
You
like
get what you get.
when he took her to Kelly's, he could say, "Listen, there's something going on in the boat. I don't want you to
Right,
be there right now."
right.
And Tiffany would have
I
been like,
agree.
"What?" And he would have been like, "I can't tell you because it's somebody else's secret." And she would have been like, "Well, that's annoying." And then they would have gone back to the penthouse, and that would have been the end of it.
Right.
But like
Well, they couldn't
because
because she left the key. Well,
yeah, she left the key because she wanted to stay at the boat. Why? The boat is dirty. The boiler barely works. The
it
water barely
is.
works.
And there's always shit happening on the boat, which is why
That
Laura
boat,
hates it.
yeah, Laura's right.
So Scotty knows that Luke was involved in the whole liquor mess and knows that Mouse is dangerous. Joe meets with a new client, talks to Robert and Tiffany about the yacht and that Lila was there, and he figures it out, what they did,
He thinks it's
basically,
very
because
funny.
it's the talk of the docks or whatever.
Mhm.
Um, I like that Joe's client came over to Tiffany and Robert, and he's like, "Oh, I'm meeting two celebrities."
Now remember,
Charles.
that's the same client that Heather got for him. That's
Oh, right, right, right,
mhm. That's important. That's why Heather's acting crazy.
right.
She won't come to the table because she told that client not to tell Joe that she recommended him, which I don't understand why.
Yeah. Robert's mad that Joe figured it out. Um, Tiffany's key's on the yacht, so she wants to go back there, get her key, and then go back to his place. Joe's looking for Heather. Scotty is at the boat when Tiffany and Robert get there. Planning liquor? That's what I put because I figured that's what he was doing. And he was. Heather sees Scotty in the bar. They talk. Robert searches the boat, pulls Kurt up, and tells him to hide in the engine room now. I don't remember. I don't know what room these people are in. It just looks like
It's
a dark
it's
space.
the boiler room. It's the boiler room where
Okay.
the but it's cold down there and Kurt's not having a good time. Why couldn't he put him in one of the empty staterooms at the other side of the boat? Like there's nobody on this damn boat.
Right. I
Like
don't know.
even when Luke comes home, if you'd put him all the way down on the other side in a room on the second or third level, he never would have known he was there. It's an enormous boat.
Yeah. Tiffany disappears. I don't know where she goes. Joe and Heather um hang.
Okay,
She makes
can
up
we
this.
talk about the Heather thing?
Yeah,
Um,
she makes up this lie saying that she was talking to a kitten.
so Heather couldn't be seen with the guy that she helped down the stairs because she didn't want Joe to know that she got him the client. So she went into the kitchen and refused to come out, and Joe wouldn't stop. He wanted her to come out. They were supposed to have dinner together. This kept going on. So she made up a lie to Martha that she was going to go feed the kittens in the alley. There are no cats in the alley. This is a lie. She goes outside, doesn't know what to do because she can't be seen. So she runs to a local bar, and that's where she runs into Scotty. This conversation is important because Scotty says that Joe is ambulance chasing because he's been getting a lot of jobs from the hospital, which is illegal. So what's happening is she's accidentally sending him too many clients from the hospital, which makes it look like he's ambulance chasing, which could get him disbarred. So now she double can't let this client see her, and she's got to stop doing this. But she didn't know that. And Scott, this would never happen in real life. The only reason Scotty's bringing this up is to needle her about Joe because they used, how he feels about Heather. He likes
Yeah,
Heather to
yeah,
be available for him. So he gives her a
yeah.
hard time. He's basically like, I don't know, Heather, but
A
if
sex
he's chasing
buddy.
ambulances, he's going to get in trouble. So like he puts that in her head, and then she dips out of the bar and goes home, and she can't say I what she did. So she comes in the front
Right.
door as they're going out the back door looking for her, and she's like, I don't know, I was chasing a kitten, and she's very convincing in her crap story. But now she's got this extra weight on her because Dr. Katz noticed that she was with that guy, and
Right.
and Scotty knows about it. So now Heather's kind of getting into her own storyline. That's a pickle. I love Heather. She's just the agent of chaos every week. I love her so
She
much.
does. She just gets herself into this
She's
shit
trying to
and
help
she
Joe.
always has to lie to
She wants
cover it
Joe to
up
have
and then
cases and be successful. Like
she
it's from
lives in
a
a
good
house of
place.
lies.
Yes, she does.
Well,
It comes
she
from a
wants him to
good
be
place.
successful. Does it though? I feel like she wants
No,
him to be
probably not.
successful because she wants his money. That's
I think it's probably both. I think she wants him to be successful, but she also wants him to make money.
why.
But
Right.
she's going to be really sad because Joe looks like the type of lawyer that looks at your wallet and goes, "Oh, you don't have any money? Pro bono,
Yeah.
pro bono. I like to help
And it
people."
and it ended with Scotty calling for Mouse. So we know
Right.
that he's gonna clearly report Luke and friends.
Because he can't get, and he knows Laura's in New York because he heard that earlier
Yeah.
when they were talking. So he knows Laura's out of the way and he wants to stab at Luke.
So Jeremy ditches school and he wants his adoption papers and he rips them up. And he says, "You ain't my mama" to Anne. So he's causing a stir. Anne's all upset, but not because she's still being bitchy.
I think she's also like, he's a dramatic teenager and we should ignore him, which would have been the prevailing air of an 80s parent.
Right. It's
Why
true.
isn't he outside? He shouldn't even be home yet. It's not 5 p.m.
And we have like the cutest storyline ever, Leslie and Rick talking adoption of Mikey.
Mm-hmm.
Robert is gonna get a shower. He locks Tiffany out of the bathroom. She's like, "Oh, I thought we could shower together." He's like, "There's no room in here for you." He just wants his own
What did
shower.
he say to her? He
That
said,
cracks
"We
me up.
learned the other day that there's not enough room in here for me, let alone for me and you." When he calls her the queen of something, and Queen of Sheba, maybe. And she's just
Yeah,
like,
something.
whatever. And he locks the door and he's like, "Go take a shower in Luke's room. Like, get out of here."
And Tiffany finds the liquor in Luke's room. The creep dude is back following Laura around.
Hmm.
I forget, was she in New York at this point, or was she back at this point?
She
I
should have
forget if she
been.
comes back in this
She does
episode.
come back. And the only reason he knows she came back is because he was at Kelly's talking to Rose. And Rose
Okay.
told him that she came back.
So Anna's being talked about in the gossip column, and the kids at school were teasing Jeremy,
Well, she
so that's
did
why he's all
scream at
upset.
a respected surgeon that he was a murderer. So, yeah, that's going to end up in page 6.
Leslie panics about the adoption stuff. I thought that was really cute. She's like,
Yeah, and again,
what if the judge
he's
doesn't like
very like
doctors?" And
he's very like, shut up your mouth because women aren't supposed to be talking. It's annoying. Rick.
Tiffany and Robert wonder who planted the liquor. He checks the labels. They want to dump it. Luke gets back. He wants to hide the liquor off board. Audrey goes off on Anne. She's like,
Hmm.
"We don't even know you anymore." She upsets Anne. Anne runs out again. Anne's always running out. Mike wonders why he doesn't have to be at court, which was cute. She's like, "Well, that lady already talked to you before. They know your side, whatever."
Hmm.
The judge grants the adoption request with a condition to meet Mike. Mouse catches the gang. It's not their stuff,
The labels
apparently.
have been changed. They swapped the
Labels
labels
have been
out so
changed.
it wouldn't match what they thought was stolen, which if the mouse fell for that,
Smart.
he deserves what he gets.
Yeah. Mouse questions if there's any more booze on board. He threatens them. The creep is around, lurking. I don't, I don't, I just want the story to move. It's getting on my nerves. I hate when this stuff happens because it's been like 2 months. I get it, but it's the same
No,
story.
but the problem with it is it's been 2 months and we haven't learned a single extra piece
That's
of
what I mean.
information.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's
Right.
just here he
Like he doesn't
is,
speak.
looming,
There he is.
looming. But he did
He's
talk
a
to
handsome
Rose.
fella. Yeah, he did. Mikey worries that the judge will make Doc Rick throw him out.
Oh, so cute.
He is. Anne and Jeremy talk. She says she's sorry. He says he's sorry. Blah blah blah. They make up. It's cute. Nice moment. Actually, almost brought a little tear. Laura and
Me, I'm
Tiffany
dead
at
inside.
Kelly's. The creeps there. They chat about the fellas. The fellas talk about the shit. Luke knows someone else is on the boat, and Robert is lying.
Luke rages. Like I feel like
He does.
it's really
It
weird
is
to
weird.
me how
It is.
little trust he has in his best friend. Like why wouldn't you just trust
I
that if
mean,
Robert was hiding someone that there would be a reason for it? You've gone on this
I
huge
mean,
adventure together. You've declared each other besties forever. You do everything together.
I get it because like I would kind of feel a certain way too.
But he
Like he's
threw a
being
temper
shady.
tantrum.
He is. He did, yes. But Robert is lying, so I mean, it is what it is.
Oh my gosh.
Mike tells the judge that he wants Doc, Rick, and Leslie to be his parents. Luke flips out about Kurt. Laura gets a call to go back to New York for reshoots, and Luke mad. That's all I
What do you mean you have to do your job?
got. Yeah. I know. I just feel like this storyline just isn't going anywhere, and it's just like I feel like it's gonna drag to a disappointing ending almost.
Well, because
Like
yeah,
it's just like creep guys just going back and forth to New York with Laura, like make a move, dude. Like do
well,
something.
I think it's funny because Jackie was introduced just basically with a whisper. She just wasn't there, and now she's there, and I'm really excited
Yep.
because I love Jackie. But it's just like she just entered, sat down. There's Jackie, and like yeah, for me, I'm like yay, Jackie. But like if you were the audience, you're like oh, reporter, and then you're never gonna think about her again, and then she's gonna keep coming back. But like
And
it
she was
was
only in that one episode too.
yeah, for like
So
five
yeah.
minutes. And it was funny
Right.
because Laura had to escape her crazy friends to go. And you know what she should have done instead? She should have been like, listen, it's a madhouse around here all the time. My husband and his best friend are always running capers. They're weirdos. They're getting the boat ready. It's just this is how I'm sorry,
That's
but
how we do.
this is how we do. Like there's a designer here, there's an actress, there's like some a girl who's rich, but we don't really know if she's rich because we've never seen Charlie. I don't think he exists. You know, and
Yeah.
like, but like, there's a lot of fun things going on. Like, and like you said, there's a lot of storylines. So we're back on Alan and Susan, even though they were just
Yeah.
kind of featured a little bit. This is a light week for the Quartermains, except for Lila.
Yeah.
Lila got a little
Yeah,
feature
Monica was
moment.
only in one, but it is around Christmas, New Year's, so I'm sure a lot of actors had off and stuff too.
I'm sure they filmed ahead and some of them rotated in and out so that they would get a couple days off because back then I don't think you really got that many days off because like
Yeah,
they were on Christmas, they were on New Year's, like they were on all the holidays.
I feel like Anne's on her way out.
I do too.
Or
I
did she
feel like
hang
we're
around? I
running.
don't remember.
I don't know, but she seems like she's speed running towards either having to leave for Africa because she mentioned
Yeah,
that today out of the blue, or she's just gonna crash out. Like she's losing it.
yeah, she's losing it.
I hope not. I kind of like Anne. I wish they. Sometimes I feel like the actress has a lot of potential, but the character doesn't. And
Yeah,
I think she's
same.
really talented, but Anne is not going anywhere fast.
Yeah, she doesn't. I guess she dated a few men since her time on the show, and that was it.
Yeah, but having her
She,
character's whole theme be "I'm a virgin and I don't want to give it up" is like, where
yeah,
do you go with that? Like, eventually, you either never have sex and you join the convent, or you have sex and then your storyline's gone. I don't understand like what that was and where that was going. Her other
yeah, same.
storyline was that she adopted Jeremy while being a single woman, which was completely unheard of at the time. So that was actually exciting.
Yeah, did she adopt him while she was on the show? Or you don't
Yes,
know?
I believe so. I believe so. I
All
think
right,
that was a
so
big
that was
storyline
probably
because
a
she
thing.
was a single woman, and single women, like I don't know, we're not really considered people. So unless we have a man that's
She
taking
wasn't with
ownership,
Jeff when she adopted him, I guess.
she probably was dating him, but they probably weren't. They weren't together because they never slept together. So they dated,
That's
but
true.
that's why he left her
Yeah.
for somebody else. He got tired of waiting, which we see a lot with Noah. Noah gets tired of waiting and he just loses interest in you. Um, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think you're right with the Luke and Laura storyline. I feel like this storyline would have been wrapped up if they didn't have Laura, if they didn't have Jeannie Francis for another month. So I think
Yeah.
like this going around and having the same conversation over and over again between her and Luke is just the writers being like, well, she's leaving and we don't really need to write too much for it. So let's just have her go
Right.
around again. It's annoying to
Instead
have
of
the
just
same.
like writing an actual good story and just send her off or
Could have wrote a
whatever
really
they're gonna do.
cute in between storyline for her. Could have had her more involved in
Yeah.
Amy's storyline or her mother's or something. Like
I
she just
really
seems
do
very
think
sidelined.
I really do think that writers get mad at actors when they want to leave, and it shows in the writing, in my opinion.
I'm not sure
Because you
how
can
true that. I think
create
that
a
is
good
true in
story.
some. I think that's true in some areas. I think you
Because
could
you
have
can
done a
create,
4-week
you
storyline
can,
for somebody.
right, you can do a good story. That there's been stories where people come and go and like
10-day
it's only
storylines.
on exactly. You could do a cute storyline and they could have, or not cute, if they wanted to kill her off or kill her off. Um, I don't know,
I don't
but
know.
I feel
I'm
like it's
I'm a
going to be
little weirded
disappointing.
out by like this Mr. Like because it really does seem like now Luke and Laura are ships in the night and they have two scenes with each other where he's mad and she's mad and then they make up. Although I do love that every time they have a fight, Laura doesn't back down at all. Laura stands her ground
Yeah,
and tells him that he's being ridiculous and she's not putting up with it. But then
yeah.
again, all week her parents were referring to her basically like a piece of furniture that got moved to Luke's house that they don't have to care about anymore. And that was really offensive.
Right.
I hated that. I hated it. It happened a couple times. And Leslie was the one that said it. She's like, "Oh, we've just decided to worry about ourselves because we sold our daughter to another man and now we don't have to care about her anymore." Like that's what it came out like. And I was like, "What? What do you mean?" It's like it was such a weird thing to say multiple times. It's weird.
Yeah, it is weird.
Like we don't have to care about our kid anymore. She's married. She's not our problem.
Right.
Now, if only we can marry Amy off. Shame she won't shut her damn mouth. This is what we're watching. And,
I know. I know. We'll have to see what male writers were writing at the time.
I bet they were women writers and they just drunk the Kool-Aid. I don't, like, yeah,
The
that's right.
Kool-Aid
Amy
did
needs this.
happen a year beforehand or two
Oh,
years
God.
beforehand.
We really that expression. That was like a horrific thing that happened. It's just in the
Yeah,
zeitgeist.
right.
It's a terrible thing to say. Those poor people. you know?
Yeah, seriously.
Uh,
All right. Well, got anything else to say about this week's crazy episodes?
I think anytime you can put Lila or Edward into a storyline, it's really fun for comedic value. I think sometimes the
Yeah.
soaps in the current soaps tend to forget that you need to have the balance of the funny characters with the drama.
All right.
And
Like a
like
lighter
even
storyline.
yeah, there needs to be a
Everything's
balance.
so heavy.
There needs to be the funnier
Yeah.
storylines. You need characters like Emma. You need characters like Stella. You need Edward. Edward is the cranky old man who yells at Cloud, and he's hilarious. And his advice is never good.
Days does a good job with keeping comedic characters and stories. GH
No,
sometimes
no.
with
It's either they go too comedic or they do nothing at all. It's not balanced right now.
yeah, I mean with Spinelli, I feel like they do every once in a while, but
Spinelli's
it's
been
just
too
like piling
serious.
on.
He's been too serious lately. Obviously, we have the death to deal
Right.
with. But also, they got rid of a lot. Like they got rid of Marshall, so we don't have that older man energy of like advice and comfort. We don't have a
Right.
grandfather figure. Like Ned is trying to fill that kind of comedic role right now. Like, but it's just really unbalanced. Like there needs
Hmm.
to be a Monica. Tracy can't do it. Tracy's too mean. Monica's more sarcastic, but she can be caring. I just feel like we're not really doing a lot with our older cast and our
That's a
and it's like
shame.
even our regular characters who should have been moved into the older cast position of comedic relief and commentary, they're center stage because the younger ones haven't taken over.
Yeah. It does seem a little bit dark recently with all the death.
I don't want any more deaths. To be honest with you, I don't think I think General Hospital should have a moratorium on death for a year, and they should work on different storylines to like maybe stretch their chops. Like and baby storylines. I think no baby storylines and no deaths for a year. Like they're not allowed. They have to come up with something else
Well,
because
maybe
that's
they
what
can
we've
hire
been
you on
doing.
the writing staff.
If they hired me on the writing staff, I would drive them nuts. I would feel really bad for them because I'd be like, that can't happen because Holly was here in 1992.
Oh, yeah.
And they'd be like, get out. I'd be like, what about we bring back the children of Emma and Charlie? And they'll be like, who are those people?
Who are those people? We
You
don't
know,
talk
and
about anything from since before what, 2005?
I actually loved when they remembered that Heather and Laura were friends. I thought that was a really great callback to their relationships. I
Yeah.
would also bring Obrecht back because I think they need her humor for the show. that
Yes.
particular brand of humor that only she brings. Kind of like I
And
guess her and Heather
Lucy
are murderous.
too. Lucy usually brings some humor, and I guess they're not doing anything with
I
her.
don't think they know how to use Lucy right now. Like Lucy needs to be anchored kind of in a relationship where that person is the straight man and then she can go completely like crazy all over the place, or she needs to be single but involved with a bunch of people who take her too seriously so she is funnier. Like they're not giving her the
Right.
support of other characters who go, Lucy, that's nuts, and then Lucy goes crazy and does crazy things. Like she
Well,
has no
that's true.
grounding character right now.
Well, on that note, we'll
Sorry, I'm
end this
like,
episode.
ah!
Um, subscribe, like, and comment if you like what we're doing. Subscribe to our Patreon. Thank you, Patreon members. We appreciate you. We have a lot over there to watch. I think we have over 50 things over there now. Like, it's pretty crazy. Um, and thank you. Have a good day. And see you next time with more GH 1982. Bye.